Okay, so first thing, some vocabulary. And we're going to be using variables here because you're in pre-algebra. Pre-algebra means we use those variables, use those letters. A to the n power. A is my base. That's what I will multiply. N, we either call it the exponent or sometimes we call it the power. And that tells me how many times I will multiply. So, if I have 3 to the 4th power, and today is definitely a review of 6th and 7th grade. I don't think you do exponents in 7th grade. I think the last time you did exponents, you were in 6th grade. Did you do them last year? Did you? Alright, if I have 3 to the 4th power, always make sure you write your exponents small and up. Don't write it right next to each other. No notes? What does that mean, guys?
3 times.
3 times 3 times 3 times 3.
Now this is my exponential form. This is my expanded form. And when I evaluate, what does evaluate mean, guys?
Equal.
Just do the math. Evaluate just means to do the math. So what's 3 times 3?
9.
And what's this 3 times 3?
9.
And 9 times 9?
81.
So 3 to the 4th power is equal to
81.
81. Do that one for me. In expanded form, 2 times 2, 2 times 2, and 2. 4 times 4, and 16 times 2.
256.
No, 32. Yes. Alright, what if I have a to the 5th power? Or let's say 3/3 power. expanded. Now is there, if evaluate means do the math, then all I have is a variable. Do I know what 8 equals?
No.
No, so all I can do
Put 8 over
to the 3,
3.
right? It's an upper script. You've gotta make it small and up top. Alright, what if, well, let's do this before we go on to the next problem. I want you to give yourself a warning, because the one thing that costs so many points on every test, never multiply your base your exponent. I promise you, people doing that, so many people going to tell me that's a 12. That's the biggest mistake people make when it comes to exponents. So we're going to give ourselves a warning and never, ever multiply the base times the exponent. All right, I'm going to bring in a little bit of 8th grade here. What if I have let's say 5a to the 3rd times 2a to the 2nd. Write that all out in expanded form for me. Write it all out. How many 5s are there going to be?
3. No. With 8. 5.
There is only 1 5 and 3 A's. Exponents can only apply to what they can touch. There's an A between that 3 and that 5, so that 3 can't have anything to do with the 5. So how should I write 2a squared?
2a.
Right? What is 3 times 4?
12.
What's 4 times 3?
12.
What property is that? You don't know.
Multiplication.
That's my commutative property, and it says when I am multiplying, order does not matter. I can multiply numbers in any order, and it's not going to change my answer. So I'm going to rearrange these. We're on our evaluating step now. So whatever math I can do, I need to do. What math could I do up here?
No.
I can change the order. So I can do 5 times 2. What does that give me?
25. Oh, why don't you tell me by yourself?
How many A's do I have?
2, 5.
5. So I'm going to write
10,
10 times A to the 5th power. Does that 5 have anything to do with that 10?
No.
Only what it can touch. Okay? There's 1 10 and 5 A's. Only what it can touch. Alright, so try this for me. that all out in expanded form. Get your notes back. Be writing this stuff down. What does this look like in expanded form? Anybody want to go up and write it out? Right on this? You drop it and I'll break your legs. You touch the pencil at the top of the touch the eraser. Write it all out. Okay, so what can I do? What math can I do, guys?
7 times.
Okay, what's 7 times 3?
21.
So 21. And how many B's are there?
7.
B to the 7th power, right? That's some 8th grade math. That and other stuff with it. 5.2. 5 times 2. That dot, we gotta get rid of that X. X does not mean to multiply, okay guys? The multiplication symbol is now that dot. There's 3 ways we can do multiplying. I didn't have to have any symbol up there. I could have parentheses or I can have the dot. 5 times 2 gave 10. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. Alright, let's talk about exponents with negatives. Exponents with negatives.
Turn the page.
Well, it's up to you how you're doing your notes. Again, nothing we do this year is not going to have, everything we do will have all kinds of negative numbers in it. We gotta get that negative business straight. We got to.
Mark down the list.
What if I multiply a negative times a positive? It will always equal a, and if I multiply 2 negatives, it will always equal. Alright, remember when I said that it can only apply to what it can touch? So if I don't have a parentheses, that means I have 1 negative and 2 4s. If I want the same number of negatives, I always have to use parentheses. Always. I have -4 to the second power, and that negative is not in the parentheses, then what I have is a negative and 2 4s. And that's going to end up being a -16. But if I put that negative inside of a parentheses, then I'm going to include that parentheses because it's the parentheses that the 2 is touching. So now instead of a -14 or 16, I have a completely changed my answer, right? And still have a lot of people who ask me, isn't -16 and +16 the same thing? No. Yeah. Now, look at those 5s. What kind of, when I had -5, yep, to the second power, what kind of an answer did I come out with?
25.
+25. But when I had -5 to the third power, I came out with a -125. Positive, negative, positive, negative. What do you think is making the difference there?
The numbers.
The amount of these exponents. Look at the exponents and look at what kind of answer you got. What do you think we could write for a rule? What kind of exponents gave me positive solutions? 2 and 4,
The even numbers.
even numbers. What about 3 and 5?
Ours.
So if I have a negative number and that negative is in the parentheses, that's what we're talking about, evaluating with negatives. If I have a negative number, an odd exponent gives me a negative answer. An even exponent gives me a positive answer. So just a little more practice.
Did I say even exponent?
Even exponent gives me a positive answer. An odd exponent gives me a negative. Now again, this is when we're dealing with negative numbers. So what would I have if I had -7 to the 5th power? Would my answer be positive or negative?
Negative, positive.
What kind of a number is 5? Is it even or odd?
Odd.
So that's going to be a negative answer. What if I had negative a to the 12th power? Would my answer be? Yep. What if I had negative positive or negative?
That's not a good.
Mm-hmm. Would my answer be positive or negative?
Oh my God.
Okay. All right. Pi upside down. 11 with something added to it. All right, read to me, somebody read to me the directions for the first section. So if we're going to write the numbers using exponents, let me go here, home. How would I write, and I hate this paper only because, why does Miss Ram not like this paper?
It's using X.
Uses the X, and those are not multiplication, right? We do not use X for multiplication. We use that dot. So 6 times 6. As an exponent, I would write what? No. Write it. What do the directions say? Using the exponents. 6 times 6. There you go. 6 to the second power. Write it using exponents. You guys are not really great with directions, are we? All right, what about, how many 27s are there?
1.
And this is one of those things you are going to have to get used to a lot because it's going to play into problems that we work. So how would I write, if I just have 127, how would I write that using an exponent?
27.
To the first power. All right.
X to the third. I mean, A to the third.
A to the third power.
Oh, we did. That was not number 2.
That was 5. I'm just going down. I'm just going down that left-hand side. All right, number 7. I have negative 12 to the second power. We're going to see if you were listening to me a little while ago. What's the base?
Negative 12.
What is the exponent?
2.
All right, here's where we got to see if you were listening to me. What is that going to look like in expanded form?
-12 times 12.
Does that too touch that negative? No. If it was going to be negative 12 times negative 12, what would I have to have on here? Parentheses. Without the parentheses, there's only one negative, no matter what. So if I evaluate that, that's going to be negative 144. A negative times a positive stays negative. 12 times 12 is 144. All right, I'm skipping down to problem 8. So I need, I'm sorry, not problem 8, problem 10.
Standard form is 140 negative 144.
Mm-hmm. Standard form, next to that word standard, you can write evaluate, because that's what we're doing. When we write it in standard form, we're evaluating it. All right. Jumping to 10. I need somebody to read those directions for me. Jeremiah?
How are we jumping to 8? I mean, yeah, 8.
We're jumping to 10. Read
Oh, right in the standard form.
in standard form. And expanded form. So what does expanded form look like, guys?
8 times 8 times 8.
There you go. 8
I'll say
times
that 3
8 times 8 times 8. 8 to the 4th. 8 is my base. It tells me what I am multiplying. 4 is my exponent. It tells me how many. Alright, I don't have to. Well, let's do it anyway. Let's see if you remember. What's 8 times 8? And this 8 times 8? Alright, 64 squared. What's 6 squared? 6 times 6? 36. 4 times 4? And 6 times 4? 24. Doubled up? And add a 6, 9, 10. You guys have got to stop with those calculators because, I see you guys. I see it all the time. You punch your problem, what you think is your problem, into the calculator, and you hit the wrong button. And then you come out with this crazy number, this number that couldn't possibly have anything to do with the answer. And does it stop you? No. You just write it down. No problem. I'm just going to write it down. The calculator said. Stop trusting in that calculator, guys. Use your brain. I promise you it's a better calculator. I promise, I promise, I promise. Alright, what about in expanded form? If I have 8 squared, what does that mean?
8 times 8.
Okay. 8 times 8. And if I have 7 cubed, I'm writing Cupid. Guess I want Valentine's to come. 7 to the
4th power?
nope,
Oh my God.
3rd power. 7 times.
A cube.
It's supposed to be a B.
Oh my goodness.
I want Valentine's Day to come, I guess.
Actually was a real letter. I don't remember what it stands for.
Oh, it's Greek letter.
What?
No, when I had
If you combine the B and C. How slow it is.
alright. Jump into the next section. Going on down. Problem 16. Xavier, would you read me those directions? In standard form, which means we're going to do what? Evaluate it. So, what do I have for 8 to the 1st power?
8 times blank.
No.
8 times
Just
8.
it,
Oh,
right?
that's 8.
Just it. Never, ever, ever multiply the exponent in the base. You never want to even think about doing that. Alright, evaluating 4 squared. 4 times 4 gives me
16.
evaluating 5 cubed. If I have 5 quarters, 125. 25 times 5, right? Alright, now this is one that we do mess on a lot. If I have a fraction, remember we said that get rid of that. Because we are not dividing. When we're doing exponents, we're multiplying, right? Keep, change, flip is about dividing. How many 3/2 do I have? 2. I have 3 over, that's the wrong. 3 over 5 times,
That's not over.
yes, straight across. Straight across. 3 times 3, 9, 5 times 5, 25. We are not going to do any of that cross multiplying. Okay? Because that's about dividing. And exponents are about multiplying. There is no such thing as cross multiplying in multiplying. Alright, next section. 24. What is that symbol?
Right. The gator mouth looking thing.
That is the greater than. This side is bigger, this side is
Smaller.
and if I have this symbol, that is the, this side is smaller, this side is bigger is greater than smaller, smaller is less than bigger, right? Alright, so I have 3 to the second power. What is 3 to the second power?
3, which is 9.
I have 2 to the third power, which is not 6.
It's 8.
8. 2 times 2 is 4. Times another 2 is 8. So what symbol do I want to use? The greater or the less than?
The greater?
Okay. I have 5 to the third power and 5 times 3. What's 5 to the third power? Just look up your paper a little bit. 125. And 5 times 3?
15.
So what symbol do I want to use?
The greater.
Alright. Down to the very last section is a circle the correct answer. I have 48. I need to write it in exponential notation. So 8 to the 6th power? 6 to the 8th? No, but 6 times 8 does equal 48, right? But is 6 to the 8 or 8 to the 6 48? No, we never multiply those two numbers. What about 48 to the 0 power? 48 to the first power? That's going to be my answer. Alright, what about 216? Which ones could I throw away? I mean, these are multiple choice.
2016 0.
To the 0? Okay, I can throw that one out. What about 21 to the 5th power?
6.
Yep, 21 to the 6th power. Wait, 21 times 21 is 442, or 441, right? So, that couldn't be that. So those last two I can throw out. Okay, what about 6 to the 3rd power? 6 times 6 times 6. 36 times 6.
316. And look, I did not use the calculator. I guess.
Okay. All right. You are going